Hi, welcome to another video. This video I'm going to talk about what it's like to have a protection dog at home as I'm about to be attacked. So there's obviously ups and downs with having a protection dog at home. What I've decided to do in these videos as well, I know that there was someone commented saying that they're going to be doing their SIA soon. So what I thought I would do in this is that in each video would be a question that is in the handbook, or like the book that they use to teach the SIA from. Now, when I'd done my SIA course, I was the only one with this book that was given to me by my dog trainer. So you can get them on Amazon. I believe it's about 15 quid. I'll put it here somewhere. And that's basically, they go through that book page by page. I think there was, let's say, 12 of us on the course. I was the only one, and the other 11 had to take notes for 2-3 days solid. And having that book just made everything a lot easier for me. So this video's question is, what does SIA stand for? So obviously that's the governing body, but what does it actually stand for? And the bonus question is, when was the SIA founded? So get your comments down in the comments section below what SIA stands for and what year it was founded. Say hello. Hello. So having a protection dog at home, who does it affect and what do they have to do? Now, obviously I had my dog as a family pet and then turned him into protection dogs. So obviously I needed the backing of my girlfriend, who who owns the dog with me, and then at the moment I'm living on a extension of my mum and dad's house. Now we will be moving into a place in the spring. We're just waiting for it to be built, but obviously when I got the dog, I had to take into account it affecting my mum and dad as well. Not as much because we're the sole owners and we look after him, but obviously if we're out and he stays at home, then obviously he goes to them. So for me, they're the people that having a protection dog at home affects, and like anything, you need to have their backing as well, otherwise it wouldn't work. Girlfriend was really good. She said if this is what you want to do, then do it. What is he doing? Oh, he's going to get... So you get these sticks and he rams them in my leg. And what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that, huh? What happened to your rope? We brought a rope up here and you've ditched it. No, ow. No. 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 So they're the three main people that this was going to affect. Like I say, they've been really good with me. They've supported me the whole way through. And what they've had to do as well is they've had to modify the way that they interact with the dog as well, and the care that they have to take with him. Now, they have helped me with training. So although I've done obviously the training out and about at the class, I've also, like in my last video, said that I've done a lot at home, and they've been a part of that, because although I can do the training with him with the sleeves and the mitts and things like that, it's different. It's different for the dog to them being on a lead and doing it to someone. And I didn't want to get to the point where all he saw was is it only doing it with me. I think at the start it got a little bit like that, where if I picked up something, he would have a fight with me or he would bark at me, but as soon as someone else picked it up, he wouldn't do it. So it was important for the people around me and that I live with that they done some of the training with me, and they've been great with it as well. And they also have to take into consideration that when I'm not around, that they have to be able to walk him, they have to be able to interact with him, and it can't be a case of that I'm the only one that can do it. So they've had to adapt to the way that they play with him, and they play with him the correct way. If you get him too excited, he does obviously get a little bit over the top, so they've had to learn to keep him calm, keep him down, and learn to play with him that way. He's not a pet dog, and I think that's where some people get confused. I'll come on to that later on. He's not a pet dog, and you have to adapt to the way that you play, and you have to make sure that you play with the right toys. Now, he has certain toys that we use for biting, and I don't let anyone else use them unless I'm around or I'm doing it. So there's obviously lots of pros and cons to having a protection dog at home. Now, there's lots of pros, but the three main ones that I've found is that you've got a companion that's always ready to do something. Whenever I want to do something, he wants to do it too. If I want to come up here and just walk around aimlessly and do a video, he'll just walk around aimlessly with me. One of the other pros is having a trained dog. So you obviously see a lot of people with these big bulky dogs that are untrained. The idea of a protection dog is that he is trained and he has good obedience. Leave me alone. He has good obedience, he's under control a lot of the time. So doing the training and the course, it makes sure that you have a trained dog that listens to you, that wants to do things for you. And with the things like article search and things like that, you have a dog that has extra skills that other dogs don't have. And probably the biggest one is that he's a deterrent. Now, there's very few people that I know around my area, they know of me with the dog, and he's a deterrent for anyone that would want to approach me, or if my girlfriend's walking the dog, anyone that wants to approach her. He's a deterrent. And when it comes to the grounds that we live on, I'll get to a story a little bit later about one of the cons. And he's a deterrent, and we've got delivery drivers that come here quite often that ask where the dog is when you open the front door. There's people around that when he barks, they know, and we haven't had any trouble. He's been very good, but like I say, he's a deterrent, and that's obviously one of the main things of having a protection dog. It keeps you and your family safe, and people don't think about doing what they might do with other dogs. So some of the cons of having a protection dog at home. One of the issues is they're so bloody intelligent. So my dog can open doors. Any push door, my dog can jump up, push the flap down and let himself in. Problem is he can't close it. So obviously this time of year in the winter, we are suffering from air conditioning of the outside sort. But it also comes to things where he knows he can get away with stuff that he can't get away with me. So he'll come in and we'll be chilling out, might have a bit of play, and then I say, right, it's time to chill out. And he goes, okay, I'm going to go into Nan and Grandad's. So I open the door, let him in. As soon as my bum touches the sofa, all I hear him is him barking at him, because the problem is when he's barked, they've given him a toy. So now what happens is he don't bark at me. Once we're done, he's like, right, I'll go in there, and then he barks at them, and then they play with him or whatever. Now I've told them that that's an issue, and the problem is he's so intelligent that he knows he can get away with it with some people, and he knows that he can't get away with it from me. So this next con is probably the biggest one for me, and it's people not understanding. Now that can go one of two ways. That's people not understanding that you can't approach the dog sometimes, and it's also people understanding that he's not as dangerous as everyone presumes he is. So when I'm around, I can take him up to people can pet him, people can say hello. Now he's not a people person in terms of that he doesn't need your affection, he doesn't need you to stroke him. He's fine without that. He's fine with you being around him, and if you want to stroke him you can, but there's some times where he doesn't really fancy it and he will say, I've had enough. And it's people not understanding at that point that you have to step back and you have to kind of step in and say, right, he's had enough, leave him alone. So that's the people not understanding sort of boundaries. Now we've got orchards around us, and people go for walks, and there's a public footpath that comes up the side, and I've watched in many a times next door neighbours take the dogs up, he runs up with the dogs, he sits there, he waits, he runs back down with the dogs. And occasionally there's people that walk up the side, and I'm not quite sure what he does, but he kind of shepherds them up the side, and he'll kind of follow them up, not bark, he'll just follow them up, and then he'll turn around and come back. And he's got two types of bark. So he's got this type of bark, which is kind of his play bark, and then he's got this second bark, which I normally hear at night, which is I've had enough, leave me alone, or you better not be coming in here kind of bark. And it's that second bark that makes me stand up. If whatever I'm doing, if I hear that second bark, I'm up, make sure he's okay, come out, find him. Leave me alone with that bloody stick. And about 3 months ago, I was just sitting down watching TV when all of a sudden I heard that second bark. And I jumped up, come out into the garden, saw him up here, and there was two people walking up the side. And I couldn't see him chasing any dogs. I thought, well, that seems a little bit weird. Like, he doesn't bark at people when they're just walking up the side. So we've got cameras everywhere around the house. It's like Fort Knox here. Wherever you are, you can be seen. And I jumped on the camera quick. I thought I'd just have a quick look, and there's a camera that points straight up the field, and you can see. And there's two people walking up the side here, and he's just following them up, and I can see him, and his mouth's not moving, so he's not barking. Anyway, the people kind of stop. He stops. Dog sits down, just looking at him, not doing anything. You can see his mouth's not moving. And for some reason, the person puts their hand over the fence. I assume to probably try and pet him because he's being quiet and he looks nice. So possibly putting their hand over to pet him, could be possibly seeing if they could grab him, I don't know. As the moment that hand come over the fence, he went, and he didn't go at him, but the second barks went, and that's when I jumped up. And you can see in the video the person put their hand over, and as the bark started, he nearly dislocated his shoulder. He pulled his hand back so quickly. So my third con is the rough play. This dog doesn't do anything half-heartedly when he starts playing, so that's why I said, especially with the toys that I use for biting and tugging that I use, I don't give to other people. Or if there's people, if my mum's friends bring their kids around, they can play ball with him, they can do different things, but I won't. And I make sure that the toys that he plays rough with are out of the way, because he doesn't do anything half-heartedly. And to be honest with you, my body's taken a bit of a battering over the last few months, especially my shoulders with the tugging and the way he rips the toy around. If I gave that to a kid, then they're going to hurt themselves. He won't do it intentionally, but it's the rough play where he doesn't do anything half-heartedly anymore. At the start, he wasn't too bad. Now, there's no way I could do it. So I have to kind of make sure that them toys are put away so that people can't get to them, and kids can't pick them up by accident. They're in places where the kids can't get to, and the kids shouldn't be going. So just to make sure that he doesn't do anything accidentally when he's playing rough. And the last con is night time. So like I said to you, he's not high driven, but he wants to do stuff. Then it comes to night, so we always take a last thing walk, and that's just try and calm him down, and we just chill out, and then we go back in. He does chill out. I give him his bedtime treat, and he has that. But it's the foxes, because obviously we're quite rural, it's the foxes, the rabbits that set off the outside lights. So occasionally it can get him going, and I think it's to make sure we're okay. And I don't think it's to make us let him out. It's to make sure we're okay. He opens our bedroom door. Now, if I lock it, he batters at it, and he'll do it once, and I'll tell him to go out, and he'll go out and lay out. Once the door's open, he'll lay outside. But he has that thing where the door needs to be open. He needs to be able to see us to make sure we're okay. And then once that's happened, then it's fine. He goes to sleep. So a lot of the time we have to sleep with the bedroom door open, and he sleeps outside the bedroom, but he likes to make sure that he can see us just in case something was to happen. But like I say, that normally only happens once the lights outside have gone, the security lights have gone on. So I think it's just to make sure we're okay. It could be because he has separation issues, but I doubt it. I think it's just to make sure nothing's happening to us, especially when he hears something outside. So what is a normal week for us at home with a security dog? So each morning I normally come up, it's morning now, although it's a bit chilly. Morning we come up and we just take a walk up the fields. Normally I'll bring his bite bar, or I'll bring him a toy. He did have a toy, I'm not sure where he's left it, but normally I'll bring up the bite bar and we'll walk up and we'll have a tug. The reason I haven't brought it up this morning is because I've got the camera and I can't leave him with the bite bar because he starts chewing on the handles. And then throughout the day we normally have some garden time, so that'll be me and him going out and we'll play with a ball, we'll just have some fun, just do some normal play. We'll normally do that 2-3 times a day, depending on how much exercise he does without me, because obviously he's got a lot of ground that he likes to patrol, so depends how much he's doing and how much he does with other people, so how many times I do it, but we normally just have some garden time as well. And then obviously to go with garden time, you've got to have rest time. So he has his rest time as well, where we kind of put him indoors and he just chills out with us, which is nice, because as much as he wants to play all the time, it's not good for him to do that. And then normally we have training. So training is normally once or twice a week outsourced, and then insourced. I try to do it every day, even if it's just like 15 minutes, even if it's just get the sleeve out for 15 minutes, even if like the morning it's just the bite bar and the tug stuff. It's all training for him. I don't do loads of obedience, but I do a little bit. I do article search probably once, twice a week. I don't concentrate on that a lot because there's other things that I want to try and bring him on more in, but so it's normally every day, even if it's just 15 minutes, but there's maybe one training day and then the rest of what I want to do. So it's important for me to keep him social as well, although you'd think in this job you'd want to keep them antisocial because obviously of other people, but it couldn't be further from the truth. So I like to get him out 2-3 times a week into public places, whether that's just a walk down the village, a walk around the village, wherever it is, just somewhere where there's people, there's public around, there's other dogs, there's different distractions, just to get him used to still concentrating on me when people are around, but also learning that not everyone is a threat. It's quite easy, I think, that once a dog starts working, that they assume that everyone's a threat, and that's not what I want. What I want is a dog that understands that not everyone's a threat, but if I tell him or he feels it is, then he can react to it. And then you've got grooming. So obviously each week you have to groom them. By NASDO standards, you have to groom them every day, so that's also checking, make sure there's no injuries, there's no fresh cuts, make sure their eyes, nose, ears, tail, everything, and also give them a brush as well. So that obviously happens throughout the week. And feeding. So one of the issues with German Shepherds is they can get like a twisted stomach when they've just eaten and they've got lots of food. If they do some vigorous exercise very soon after, what can happen is that their stomach can kind of twist on itself and kind of knot at both ends. At that point you've got about 30 minutes to save your dog's life. So it's important that you feed them at the right times. Now I kind of knew that, but I didn't know it before I started training. I didn't know that about the twisted stomach. I just knew that you shouldn't feed them just before they're about to do exercise. So I used to feed the dog twice a day. He's now down to once a day, and I feed him in the evenings. Now a lot of people feed their dogs in the morning, but the problem I have here is that the morning is when training is, and it's also when he's most active. So what I've done is I've done it in the evenings around 7-8 o'clock, about 7 o'clock when I have dinner, because then what he does then is he just chills out and I ain't got to worry about him going off doing exercise or someone playing ball with him just after he's eaten. I'm going to say he's about 100 yards away. Should we see how quick we can get him here? Come on! Here he comes. Here he comes. Come on! Come on! Come on! Good boy! Yes! Good lad! Yay! Good boy! Yes! Hey, how quick was that? You quick! Yeah? Where's your toy? Where's your toy? Where is it? Where is it? Where's your toy? So that brings an end to my video of having a protection dog at home. There's obviously lots of pros and cons. I wouldn't have it any other way now. Now he is a protection dog and not a pet. I wouldn't have it any other way with him. What you got there? You found some burnt wood. But the most important things you have to understand is that they are different to a pet dog. That everyone in the family has to be pulling in the same direction, because like I say, when it comes to play, everyone has to understand that dog plays differently to other dogs. It's not a pet anymore. It is rough. It can not aggressive, but it's taught differently. So everyone in the family has to be pulling in the same direction. So the question that I asked at the start, hope you've written it down in the comments. So what does SIA stand for? So SIA stands for Security Industry Authority, established in 2003. Now that's the governing body that I say that you have to, anyone that works in security now has to have an SIA licence. So that's one of the questions that's in the handbook that you can get. Like I say, if you're going to do your SIA, make sure you get it, because it's a big help. It means that you can listen to the person giving the class more than you're not writing down whilst they're talking about something else. So that would be a big help. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I say, everyone's dog is different. Everyone's home life with a protection dog is different. This is just what I've found over the last 6 months of turning my pet into a protection dog. I wouldn't have it any other way, so somehow you just gotta love him, but we do. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers for watching. Bye. Hey. Whoop. Good. Sit. Sit. Say thank you for watching. Hup. Say thank you. Say thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Yeah, come on in.